The Marlin Papoose for a bug out rifle? Let's check it out. We recently did a review on the Marlin Model 70, and this is the Papoose. It's in stainless steel, it's got the synthetic stock. We wanted to add some things to the rifle to make it more of a survival option. We got some extra magazines, we attached a scope, a sling, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the Henry Arms US Survival Rifle and a little bit of a comparison between those two. While the Ruger 1022 Takedown is definitely a contender in this lineup, I don't have one yet, and they're quite a bit more expensive than either the Henry or the Marlin. But hopefully we'll be getting one of those soon as well. Now this video is brought to you by Big Daddy Unlimited, one of the best firearm related buying clubs on the web. We'll make sure the gun is unloaded, we've removed the magazine, checked the chamber, and it's empty. These were introduced back in about 1986 in a blued model with a wood stock. I always had my eye on one, but never bought one. They discontinued the Papoose, I believe it was in 94, somewhere around there, and then immediately started making the stainless steel model. It does have a nickel frame, but it has the synthetic stock, and to me, much more user-friendly for a backpacking rifle. Now, one of the best features of this rifle, of course, is its breakdown capability. And we have our barrel nut right here. If you tighten it down with the included spanner wrench, it's actually better, but if you need to do it quick, you can, and shoot it safely. Just not a whole lot of rounds. This just unscrews, pull your barrel right off. Here in the back, there are two sleeves, one for your barrel, which is up front, and then one for your spanner wrench and other things. Slide it in the back. Then we take the rifle. Now, with the scope, it does add a little bit of room to it, but it's still doable, as long as you don't get a large scope. Now, honestly, I would like to have had a smaller scope on here, but this is just what I ended up having, and it did work. But guys, I would recommend something a little more compact. And we just take it and zip it up. And that is a nice tiny package. But another added benefit is this thing floats. Okay, we're going to check to see if the case will float. One thing that I do know is that water will get in this case. There's some holes right here where the zipper comes together. And so we're going to have some water, and I'm going to end up right here at this end. You have some holes, so we're going to clean it afterwards. But if you ever drop it, especially if you're boating, fishing, even camping or hiking, you can be near water, or if you're at your pool and you're doing a little shooting. We're going to try it out. Beautiful. It definitely floats, and I think that foam in there is going to keep it floating. As you can see there, the water's getting in it, so it still retains some buoyancy. I think the weight of the rifle is what's even bringing it down at all, otherwise it would just continue to float. Now it's really heavy. Yeah, there's water in this thing. I hope that scope's waterproof. But one of the things I really wanted to do with this rifle is to kind of outfit it with some aftermarket support and to see, make this even a better choice for a bug out rifle, or just for on the trail. And of course, an optic is great. I mean, having an optic, you can really get your accuracy down very tight. Sure, you can go without it, but it makes it nice. And of course, it already has the 11mm rimfire mount on top. So we just put some red fill rings on there, and then one of the Citron 2x7 scopes. Okay, when I was looking for a sling, you know, they're not usually that expensive. They're pretty reasonable in price. This was a Blackhawk sling, and it's called the Mountain Sling. The reason I bought it is because it already had the QD mounts attached. It would go right into the sling mounts. And so that was really easy. But what I really like is this rubberized material that's right here that'll rest on your shoulder, and it's a little bit tacky, so it's going to help retain it to your shoulder. One of the things about this nylon is it can be very slippery. So I really like this sling, especially for this. I think I may pick up a couple of more, and it does have a adjustment ring right here where you can adjust these pretty easily. Really like this Blackhawk mountain sling. One thing though, if you're going to carry the 25 round Pro Mags, it's kind of weird how it wants to sit on the outside of your arm. You can bring it over like this, kind of nestles it in, but it's just something that, you know, you'll have to think about with this sling, or with any sling. So it doesn't really matter, but I think with the mounts already on here, this was just such a no-brainer. And then that bonus, I really like this. And the width is decent too. It doesn't dig into your shoulder. We're going to be trying out these Pro Mag 25 round magazines. I saw a review where Nothing Fancy talked about these. One of the things about Pro Mag is they can be hit or miss. So he said that they have been very reliable for him, so on his recommendation I got these. And also picked up a couple of 10 round factory magazines. So just wanted to add it up a little bit. 7 rounds on the original, so it definitely gives it a little bit of a plus with the extra ammo. And I want to thank CCI for sending the mini mags, and we're going to shoot quite a few. While loading the Pro Mags, the first one I couldn't quite get all 25 rounds in, but the other two I didn't really have a problem. Once it gets kind of close, those last 2 or 3 rounds gets a little tight. With the 10 rounders, they were fairly easy to load, and of course the 7 rounder, we've already been through that one. Now when it comes to the 25 round Pro Mags, they don't hold open on the last round. The bolt doesn't. Also, when you're removing the magazine, it's a little bit stiff, but I think over time that should work itself out. It connects really well, had 0 malfunctions, but that's the only thing about it, is just no last round bolt hold open, and then also just a little stiff coming out. But considering they're reliable, that's okay. I think typically I would carry the 10 rounders. They did very well, real nice, easy to slip in, easy to pull out. They're nickel finished, so they're going to be impervious to the weather, just like the rest of this rifle. And that's one of the big things about it that I really liked, was how this is already a stainless steel rifle. The stock's not going to swell. You're not going to have any kind of problems. But you know, if you want to subdue this, of course you can paint it, or, you know, Cerakote, Duracoat, but Krylon also works. That's one thing that's a little different you got to get used to, is that bolt, when it's holding open, you can't just close it like this. You've got to hit this latch. The Citron scope did very well, 2 to 7 power, and you know, it's a little bit long as far as what I would like, because it barely fits into the original Papoose pouch. I mean, it just barely makes it. In fact, it's really tight to get it to zip up. This just happened to be the only scope in a 1-inch that I had available. And I think I'd rather have maybe a 6 power fixed would be nice, or just a, you know, 1 to 4, just something that would be a little bit shorter. Of course, with the 1-inch rings, you know, you're pretty much locked into that because of this dovetail. But other than that, I mean, this will give you some really good capability for accuracy. The accuracy on this, using this scope, was superb. I mean, we really got good accuracy once we sighted in the scope. Of course, after sighting in the rifle, which we were getting good groups already, we're just shooting about a 1/4 of an inch high. That was 5-shot group at 25 yards. And then here, another 5-shot group. So, you know, just shooting a little bit high. I'm very pleased with the accuracy. After my earlier experience with the barrel nut coming loose a couple of times, just because I hand tightened it, I did bring the wrench, the spanner wrench, but because I used this originally, and we shot about 200 rounds through this so far, and it is rock solid. So I just gave it a good lockdown with the wrench, and I think you're going to be fine. Again, if you need just to pull it out real quick to use it, you can do it. But if you really want to have some extended, tightening, then you want to use the spanner wrench. Now, one rifle that is very comparable to me with the Marlin is the Henry Arms U.S. Survival Rifle, and this is the old Charter Arms AR-7. The Charter Arms was not all that great. The Henry has been nothing but excellent. I mean, it's been very reliable. It's just a great little rifle. It's super lightweight. The whole action fits into the stock, and then it floats. The stock floats. Now, it does have a composite liner around the barrel. It is kind of an alloy, very lightweight receiver. And this is a very purposeful rifle. But there are some advantages to the Henry, but then there's some advantages with the Marlin. And one of the biggest to me is this stock. While I love it and I love the purpose behind it, it is thick and fat, and the grip is fat. So when you're shooting it, it's kind of unorthodox, a little bit different. It's one of the things about the Marlin, you're going toward more of a feel of a regular rifle. And so it just locks in. You feel like you're just shooting a regular rifle. With the Henry, again, it's a little different, but that to me doesn't take a whole lot away from it. I still like the purpose and everything being able to fit and be very compact. Even more compact than the Marlin, even though the Marlin can get it down pretty close. Another advantage that I love about the Marlin is I can just take this down and pack it in my pack. With this, if I have a scope here, I've got to take the scope off. The scope will not fit into the butt of the stock. And so that's definitely an advantage with the Marlin. But yet, you get everything packed in here. So, you know, it's according to what you're looking for. Now, one thing about the Henry is this lockdown is tight, and I've never had it really to come loose. With the Marlin, if you're not using that spanner wrench to lock that down, it will come loose. Now, it is a full stainless steel barrel, which to me is an advantage over a, synthetic sleeve that goes over the metal. Both of them have a high-vis front sight, which I like. Henry has a peep sight. And the magazines on the Henry are good, but there's not a lot of options for higher round count. I think there are some that are 15 rounders that are from Armalite, but I don't know how they work in this. And so that is one limitation, is just there's not a lot of larger magazines. With the Henry, of course, we've seen already that the Pro Mags and the 25 rounders work flawlessly. I mean, we had no problems with them. Then you can get your 10 rounders from Marlin. I believe this is an 8-rounder from Henry, and it does come with 2, which the Marlin only comes with 1 of their 7-round magazines. Now, one of the things that's been a problem with the Henry Survival Rifle is a sling, and there's no sling mounts, there's no place to do it. But I did find Slim River makes a sling system. It just hooks onto the back of the butt, and then you can just strap it over your shoulder like this. It's a pretty cool sling. In fact, I've done a whole review video on this. With the mountain sling, though, it's more of a traditional sling, and it's about half the price. I think these are actually about 20 bucks. So, but it's just a different way to carry it. So that's just kind of a little bit of an overview. Both rifles are excellent. I love the Henry. I love its features, but definitely it has a few limitations, and I think that the Papoose takes care of that, and yet the Henry is more of a compact package. So it's just one of those things that you have to decide. Again, there is the Ruger 1022 takedown version. The price on it is quite a bit more than either one of these, even though this is a stainless steel model. Then again, guys, it's just according to what you want, and that's why they make so many different types. But I think overall the price on the Henry is a little less than the Marlin, even at the price from Big Daddy Unlimited, again, which was about $248, I believe it was. And I believe these are running just a little over $200. So guys, I have to say I'm overall pleased with the Pro Mags. I mean, they function perfectly. Of course, the standard factory mags, they worked well, giving us a few extra rounds. The sling was beyond my expectations. The Citron scope did very well. The barrel nut held up well. Once I tightened it down with a spanner wrench, no problems. And the gun itself, of course, if you want to see the full review, you know, guys, I'll have it linked where you can go check it out. Now, to give you an idea about the price, the Pro Mags were $13.99, and I got these on Midway. The standard 10-round magazines from Marlin are $16.99, and then the Black Hawk Mountain Sling with the swivels was only $13.99, so I thought that was a great price. I don't remember what, I've had the Citron for a while, I don't really remember what the price is on those, but it's fairly reasonable because this is more of a rimfire scope with 1 inch. They do make some really high-end scopes as well. So I think there's a lot of cool advantages with a Papoose if you decide to go with that for a kind of a survival camp rifle. If you like boating and you want to get out, you know, there's so many different uses for these type little rifles. They just compact into such small little packages, and the weight is right. And two, when you're talking about 22 ammunition, here's 200 rounds and a very small package to be able to carry. The weight's light, so it does give you a lot of good options. Is this an excellent self-defense gun? Not necessarily. It can be used for that, but in a survival situation, you're just trying to survive. And it may be hunting, it may be signaling. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go when it comes to a little rifle like this. And honestly, unless it's SHTF and you'll probably grab something else, this would make a great little go bag rifle to me. That low report, and there's just a lot of good features about having a 22 in a survival situation. And again, I want to thank Big Daddy Unlimited for sending the Marlin Papoose for this test and evaluation. Guys, if you're serious about prepping and survival, check out Survival Dispatch Insider. I'll have a link down below. It's a great resource to really organize your preps and to get on track. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Now, I got the Marlin Papoose from Big Daddy Unlimited. The Marlin Papoose, and I got the, that is the way to go. And I do these things so you won't have to.